go too far, too fast.
And in the end, it doesn't even matter. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Cannata.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens. I'm going to talk about a mystery. A great American mystery. I don't know if this is a mystery that is our listeners from outside these great United States, this great American experiment will know about. But this is something that you hear about a lot in American public schools. I want to talk about the lost colony of Roanoke.
Nice. A classic We Have Concerty Boys mystery.
That's right. If you're unfamiliar with this, the best way to get up to speed is just to watch American Horror Story Roanoke, which I think is a pretty accurate retelling.
That's right. They did do a whole series around.
They did, but it was like about a TV show about Roanoke. It was very American Horror Story. But if you're unfamiliar with the lost colony of Roanoke, here's the deal. This is a thing that history teachers love because for a brief fleeting moment, children are interested in history when you tell them this story. Basically, as America was being colonized, the colonists come over from England and they land in Virginia and they start the colony of Roanoke. Okay. Then a second boat shows up because that's how colonization works. And a second boat shows up like a year later, 2 years later, something like that. And they find that Roanoke is abandoned. It's gone. Within 2 years, Roanoke has simply disappeared. And all that's on the only clue is on a tree, carved into a tree. There's a single word, Croatoan. And it's like, what does it mean? And then there are these strange reports of blue-eyed Native Americans. And where did they come from? And like, at this point, you might say to yourself, hey, blue-eyed Native Americans just happens. That's genetics. To which any American history teacher would say, shut up, it's not racist, it's a mystery. But the idea is nobody knows where Roanoke went, and there are all these theories, right? Did they die out of starvation? What happened to everyone? Did the Native Americans get into a conflict with them? Or did all of these colonists join with the Native American tribes and become integrated with the Native American tribes?
Which
and that
in 2
one,
years feels like pretty fast for that to happen.
right? But also that one is like, that's the one. Like that, like that's the one, right? And when you think back and you think about like learning about this mystery in American history class and stuff like that, the way this was presented as the least likely one, just because like, ew, gross, why would they do that?
Yeah.
Ew,
right.
Gross. Why would they join forces with these people who were let's just face it, non-white?
Well, it was like wasn't it like a military outpost also? So like the idea of them being, we're going to set up camp in Roanoke and we're going to fight. And then they were like, well, did they fight or did they not fight?
Right. Here's what we know as Americans. What we know as Americans is only one man ever joined with the Native Americans, and that was Kevin Costner.
That's right. Tatanka himself.
That's right. He joined up with them because he found that there was a certain nobility to these savages.
That's right.
Almost as though it was a trope of, I don't know, a noble savage.
You would never have thought it looking at them, but they actually are people.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that they might be people who know more about surviving on this land than you do.
Yeah.
Since you were, I don't know, since you were like a milliner, you were like a hat maker, and you were like, I'm leaving because I'm being religiously oppressed because we're weird about religion. And I'm going to come over here, and here I am, the greatest hat maker in England. Oh, we don't need hats? We need corn? Oh, we don't need... Oh, I'm sorry, what? Like, because I made a beautiful bonnet. Oh, we don't need that.
It took me 14 weeks, but I made this one bonnet real good.
Yeah. Gorgeous bonnet. And what I want to know is, can I trade this to any of you for food that you hunted. And then everybody else is like, I am also not a hunter. I actually make shoes. I'm a cobbler. And it was all, and like, listen, and one thing that we know about American history around this time is most people made buckles. Like, that's what most
'Cause
people made.
that's because that's the only reason that it's true is because you put buckles on everything. You gotta
Yeah, it's
buckle it.
like you have a buckle on your hat, you have buckles on your shoes, you have buckles on
Yeah,
your belt.
that's right.
It was very like, it was early Kingdom Hearts.
We had to buckle it.
Yeah,
If there was a problem, you gotta buckle it, you
that's
know?
right. It was very early Squaresoft Final Fantasy Kingdom Hearts. It was lots of buckles,
That's
lots
right.
of straps, more than you would think would be needed. And the problem was it devalued all buckles, and then nobody
It was
knew
a
how
glut of
to.
buckles.
Yeah, it was
Classic
an all
buckle glut.
it was an all buckle glut situation, and nobody knew how to grow a squash.
That's right.
Nobody could
That's
grow a
right.
squish. And so the Native Americans were like, "Hey man, why are you bad at this?"
Yeah, you
And the
came over here without knowing how to make a squash? What's up with that?
yeah,
Why
what's that? You
you
don't.
got so many buckles but no squash?
That's weird, dude. We got so many squash and no buckles. We honestly don't believe in buckles. What an odd situation.
Yeah.
It was
A
very
real
Dharma
clash
and
of
Greg.
cultures. That's a
Yeah.
real Dharma and Greg.
It was a real Dharma and Greg, dude. It was so here's what's up. Obviously, what happened is these colonists had a couple really hard, really lean years and were taken in by the Croatoans, which is a known tribe, right? The Croatoans are a known tribe. But the idea is in all of these American history lessons that we get is that there were no Croatoans until these colonists decided to live as the Native Americans lived, and then they became the Croatoans, right? But we know that's not true because we know the Croatoans existed. So what's going on? What's happening? What's the real story? And when you talk to people who live in Virginia, and then of course who live in this story is mostly centered in Hatteras Island off the coast of North Carolina. These are people where locally they've known all along. They're like, no, dude, we've got tons and tons of evidence that shows exactly the order of operations of this. It's sort of like, it feels to me. So I lived in Florida when the Blair Witch Project came out.
Mhm.
And everyone in Florida knew that the Blair Witch Project was a student film by a bunch of students
Yeah.
here at the University of Central Florida. Okay. We all knew that. But the Blair Witch marketing campaign and TV shows and the internet and the way people were talking about it, because it was early internet. So people were like
Yeah.
talking about it on message boards and shit like that. So
Yeah.
like they really made it seem like the Blair Witch Project was a real documentary.
Yeah. Oh, I remember going to see it and everybody in line was like, I heard this was real. I heard this was real. It was the first found footage movie.
Right.
And so it sort of created that whole genre of found footage. And they sold it. Yeah. They sold it like, we literally found this. We're putting it out. We don't know what it means. We just found this abandoned VHS tape, guys.
Yeah, we went looking for the students because we knew they were out there making a movie, and we found their DV camera. And here's what we found. Can you believe that we found it? And it's like, no, I can't, because I know it's not true. There's students. I know who they like. One of them was still when the Blair Witch came out. One of them was still a bartender in Orlando. Like it takes a little time for the money to come in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, those kids didn't get any of the money. I don't think
They didn't get like anything, dude.
No, they all just got scared in their tents for 2 weeks, and then somebody else made all the money. But isn't it charming that there was a time when like a little blurring the lines of truth and fiction was fun instead of our government?
Yeah, and it was
You know?
like, yeah, the internet, if you believed in something like that on the internet, it's like early days of creepypasta and r/no sleep and all of these things where it's
Yeah,
like, here's a story, and we like on a gut level, we know, on a logical level, we know that this story is not true. But
yeah,
we as people love to buy into and play the game. We love to play in
right.
the space. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
we're all doing kayfabe, you know?
Yeah, exactly. We're just playing in the space. But here's the thing. American history teachers are not just like maybe they're just playing in the space,
Let's hope
but they're
not.
playing in the space to the point of like, we're going to tell this like it's real because god damn it, these kids need to be interested in something. And also because American public schools are so underfunded that maybe the last textbook you have is from like the early 90s,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And so it's like,
That's
okay,
right.
well, they haven't reprinted this. Like, this only goes up to Desert Storm, and it's got one paragraph about Desert Storm, and it says, "We rule."
No, and nothing went wrong after that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Desert Storm, we got to get into Iraq. Why? Because we rule and they're bad. Here's a Tomahawk missile. Isn't it dope? We came up with that. It's named after something the Native Americans used because we're cool to Native Americans as well. Don't read too far into the previous chapter. So for me, I feel like for most people in Hatteras Island or in Virginia or in North Carolina, I would imagine even for most history teachers at this point, hearing about Roanoke is like me hearing about the Blair Witch back then, where I'm like, no, shut up. Or like, you know, people renting Faces of Death and being like, I can't believe these are real deaths caught on tape. And it's like, because they're not, because they're not, because they're not. So, but what really happened, and we know this because we've been finding lots of stuff all along, right? Here's what really happened. We know that Croatoan was a note left to the next settlers who were coming by, the next colonists who were coming by to say, hey, we're bunking up with the Croatoans.
Yeah.
You'll know the Croatoans if you come here because they're the people who are here.
It's a shame, that there wasn't a better communication device than literally carving a stump. Carving a stump, as you can probably imagine, it takes a minute, you know? So you gotta like you minimize you start like, well, let's write a rough draft of what we're gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
And then one guy's like, I'm not carving all that into the stump.
Yeah, right.
I'm not carving like, hey, we left, everything's fine. We're going to Croatoan Island.
Yeah,
Meet us there. It's gonna be sweet. These guys have squash. It's gonna be awesome.
it's gonna be awesome.
We're
Hey,
having squash
P.S.
parties. Everybody's
P.S.
there.
If Ray is here, this is from Steve. Did you bring my glasses?
Yeah.
Don't forget my
Also,
glasses.
no need to bring buckles. We have plenty. We'll
Yeah,
see you there.
we have
And
yeah.
then,
See you there. And then should we say like thanks for coming or something like should we? And then like the one
yeah,
guy starts carving the first H in hay, and he's like, well, we got to change this.
we got to edit this. We need a revision. Quick, guys. Edit it down. Edit it down. Edit it down.
So here's what's up. When you go to Hatteras Island, which is very close to where Roanoke was founded, you go down to Hatteras Island, and if you start digging around in Hatteras Island, which people have been doing for years, there's no way you're not going to find some evidence of European settlers living, not just visiting, but living on the island, and not just living on the island, but using their materials to live more in a Native American style. And what I mean is you're going to find lots of repurposed bits of metal, right? Like tools, like natural tools that are made of bits of metal that clearly came from something else first, right? Like we don't need these fancy gadgets anymore. What we need are some tools. Let's melt down this metal and turn it back into tools. You're going to find all kinds of different bits of metal and things called hammer scales, right? So what hammer scales are like the little bits that come off of metal when you are banging it like a smith, right? So as you're banging metal into something else, these little bits of hot metal come off, and they're called hammer scales. So as you're looking around on Hatteras Island, what you're going to find is um, like glass, like wine glasses that were like melted down, and the glass was reformed into arrowheads. You're going to find a
Sick.
door.
Glass arrowheads? Sick.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, because they're perfect for arrowheads.
I drank out of this. Now I'm killing a friggin' boar.
Yeah, that's right. It's like,
hell yeah.
You drink out of it, you smash it, you collect the pieces, you melt them, you murder.
That's a hell of a night, dude.
That's
it's a hell of a night.
one night. That's one night. And let me tell you something. When you learn that that's what one night is like, how are you not going to join the Croatoans?
Yeah. That's called Croatoan Tuesday, baby. When you freaking, you cheers. Hey, everybody, to the boar I'm going to kill with this freaking wine glass. Then you pound it, smash it on the ground, melt it down, make a arrowhead, and we're out in the field, baby, looking for boar. Woo!
Yeah. Woo! This was that wine glass. Watch this. Watch this. Right between
Sick.
the eyes. Yeah.
That's right. Hey, boar, you just got murdered with hints of fig leaf and orange slices. Your natural fragrance of the wine is now in the boar. That's how we
That's
do
right.
it here in Croatoan.
That's
Boom.
how we do it. Don't worry, you don't need like a sachet of spices. I will murder it with spices. It's pre-spiced, baby.
That's right.
But yeah, so you'd find stuff like that. You'd find like door hinges that were twisted into a drill, right? It's like we don't need these door hinges anymore, but we do need a drill. And these are like clearly the acts of colonists that out of desperation were like, these are not essential anymore. These things aren't essential. Let's turn them into essentials. So there was a lot of like, okay, well, we know that they at least lived on this island and they tried to melt their stuff down to survive. But like, did they really set up camp here? Did they really live here? Did they really become part of the Croatoan? And what it really comes down to is in the last couple years, they've found something that they consider to be the smoking gun, right? Because all of the evidence lines up and goes, yes, this happened. But they needed something to shut up the history teachers. They needed one piece of information that was such solid evidence that they could go, would you just shut the fuck up, history teachers, for once? And I think we all
Irrefutable.
agree.
Yeah.
I think we all agree that the history teachers, at least for once, need to shut the fuck up. I don't know what history teachers were like in the California public school system, but I can tell you that in the Central Florida public school system, they were all gym coaches who had to teach one period of history to keep their jobs. Like history was the only thing that they could teach because it was just facts out of a book.
Well, this is, I don't want to tangent too far away, but this is one of my big qualms about my upbringing. And I think just how we raise kids in this country, because I think you would agree, history's freaking fascinating.
Absolutely.
It's just like incredible stories.
How
The
many
whole thing
people
is-
do you talk to as adults that were like, I wish I knew history was this cool when I was a kid, or I don't know why I
Yes.
wasn't into history when I was a kid, when now I love reading. Like on an infinite timeline, every dude ends up watching endless World War II documentaries. I'm not there
Yeah.
yet, but I've seen it. You go to
You
like a
age into it.
middle-aged to like older man's house, and it's just like, and here's what happened at Nuremberg. And it's like, really? Another 7 hours on Nuremberg? Don't we know already? But this is what people turn into. Like, we're really into history as adults.
It's fascinating, and it was never taught to me. I remember saying to my parents at one point, like, my least favorite subject is history, and they're like, ugh, I know. And they almost like sort of tacitly agreed to the fact, oh, history sucks. But then you grow up a little bit and you're like, oh no, history is just like 6 stories of, 1492, Columbus sails the ocean blue. Tells you nothing.
Nothing.
But saying like these people got on a boat and they had no idea where they were going.
Yeah.
And no idea how to get there. And they freaking landed in the wrong place. They thought they were going to India. They didn't know there was a whole other continent. These stories are fascinating and incredible. And we teach them in the most bland, boring way.
Absolutely.
And it sucks.
And that's why Croatoan becomes such a thing, is because in 2 sentences, it's like one of those like microfiction social media accounts that tells a horror story in 3 sentences.
Yeah.
Where it's just
baby
like
shoes never used, baby.
That's right. The scariest story ever written. The most terrifying horror story ever written by the master of horror himself, Ernest Hemingway.
But it has drama.
Yeah.
Inherent in the fact of it has built-in drama. And where is the drama in the teaching of history? It should be taught with drama because kids would be into it. It'd be everybody's favorite. And then maybe we wouldn't be doomed to repeat all of it.
In junior high, One of my least favorite classes was history, and one of my most favorite books was the autobiography of King Henry VIII. That novel written, and it was the novelization of King Henry VIII's life. At the same time that my least favorite subject was history. And I got to tell you, I don't know if in my little kid brain I put together that there was a
There's a
disconnect.
connection at all
Yeah.
between those two things.
You know, it was like there was that 80s BBC series called Connections that was like it would take you from something that was made in the 1600s to like the microcomputer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it would be like, I'm going to take you through 400 years and show you everything that led to it in science and history. It was one of my favorite shows. History class sucked because it was, I mean, at least in Florida, it was taught by soccer coaches.
Right. Yeah.
Or like the coach of the weightlifting team. I do remember like once I got to high school one year, one of my teachers for history was my coach for weightlifting. And he didn't give a fuck what I did in that class as long as I showed up to weightlifting practice.
That's right.
I wasn't even good, man. I wasn't even good. This wasn't one of those stories of the cool athletes get taken out of class and they get straight A's for nothing. I just simply showed up to weightlifting.
Just needed a warm body. That's all he cared about.
I was in a weight class that was underrepresented. And as long as I showed up, I didn't have to do anything in history class because he didn't want to grade papers because he doesn't know anything about history. He's just reading out of the teacher's guide. Right. Yeah. So if you can say in 3 sentences, colonists came over, 2 years later, they disappeared. No one ever found them. A mysterious word was written on a tree. Woo.
Yeah. We're in, baby. We're in.
Kids go, holy shit, this is like the Five Nights at Freddy's of American history. Did they all get spring locked? Did every single one of them get spring locked into an animatronic fox? No, that's actually the least likely thing to happen.
But
we have found some evidence of spring locking. And that's what's crazy. On Hatteras Island, we found some evidence of spring locking in pizza. So we needed a smoking gun to shut up the soccer coaches. Something that proved that Roanoke really happened, that these people stayed on this island for 400 years and became
they're all 400 years old?
Yeah.
Was this
like the
island of eternal life?
It's the beach that makes you old. You know that movie?
Old?
Where the beach, the movie Old.
Not the movie The Beach, but the movie Old.
Yeah, there's 2 different movies. So what could we find that proved that they actually lived there and over time did take all of their own materials themselves and turn them into usable things to live with the rest of the tribe? And the answer is those hammer scales.
The hammer scales are the smoking gun?
The hammer scales are the smoking gun. So here's
Lamest
what's
smoking
up.
gun ever.
Here's what's up. A lot of people, like when you're doing one of these archaeological digs, what happens is, you know, we've all seen where they lay down the string in the grid and they pull out like big parts, big chunks of like things, and like where did we find them and stuff. So that's
that in the movie The Dig.
That's right. So and in the background of the film Jurassic Park, when John Hammond lands his helicopter and they're like, you motherfucker, that dust was important. The next thing they do is they take the excavated material and they sift through it with like mosquito netting, basically, and then process it with water to find like tiny items that will float.
They're looking for potsherds.
Yeah. They're looking for things like vegetable seeds. They're looking for mush. They're looking for little bits of
potsherds.
Yeah. Repurposed iron, like the nails, or a repurposed gun barrel, right? But then what happens is, as they're getting deeper and deeper, they're finding more and more hammer scale. And what that means, because, you know, every time you go deeper in a dig, you're going so much amount of time older. And so what they found was they're finding the hammer scale in reverse order. So at the top, you've got all of these things that were made on the forge, these arrowheads and these drill bits and whatever. And as you go deeper down, you're finding more and more hammer scale, fewer and fewer tools. And so that means, and they're finding an enormous amount of hammer scale, right? So
it means they took the stuff they had and they repurposed it bang, 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 new thing.
Over time, over a long period of time, which means they didn't just do a bunch of stuff at once. They were living there and they were doing it. And the longer they were living there, the more they were like, well, we don't really use guns anymore because we're out of powder and we're out of ammo.
Because
So
that
this
one Native American put his finger on the barrel.
he said, no, this is not the way. And they all looked at him and said, what a noble savage. Jesus Christ. So what happened is you sift through the material with like a magnet, right? And what happens is all this little hammer scale clumps come back clinging to the magnet, and right? And just from one residue bag, they keep all the residue in like big Ziploc bags, and they keep it like hey, we pulled it from this depth from this part of the grid. They mark on it, right?
Usually you can get a residue bag for like cheaper than the buds.
Yeah, like
You know?
if you're down to a residue bag, like it's a sad Friday, but like you can make it work. You can make it work if you have to. Don't if you're down to a residue bag, your first instinct is gonna be go to the smoke shop and buy like some salvia or something. Don't do it. You're gonna be disappointed. You're gonna have to smoke. It's legal for a reason. You're gonna have to smoke so much to feel anything.
It's cheaper for the
It's
residue bag.
yeah, it's cheaper and more fun to just do the residue bag. And that's something that archaeologists found. And so thank you once again to archaeologists. So in one of these residue bags, one of these Ziploc bags, they found enough hammer scale to fill an entire Pepsi can
Whoa. Why would you put it in a Pepsi can?
to drink it and to take its power. That's another thing archaeologists do. It's the way of proving yourself to the other archaeologists. The archaeologist who can eat the most hammer scale is the
Yeah.
toughest archaeologist on the dig.
She is king archaeology.
That's
And
right.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. If Cheryl drinks the most hammer scale, she gets to make all the rules on the dig.
All
And
the
it doesn't
decisions.
matter if it was Dave's dig.
Yeah.
Like he could
It's-
have been listed by the university as like the lead archaeologist, and Cheryl drank
Not
the most
anymore.
hammer scale. That's right.
That's right.
Get in the back.
Chug.
Chug. And if two people drink the same amount of hammer scale, it comes down to who coughs up the least amount of blood.
That's right. And there's like one really good brush, and everybody wants that one, you know? So there's a lot of competition around it.
Here's the problem. There's one really good brush for the dust, but sometimes somebody will eat that too.
That's right. If things get real wild, they'll just eat the fuck out of that.
The thing that you got to do is you got to keep archaeologists from putting things in their mouths.
That's the hardest part.
The toughest part, because it's not just their tools. Like sometimes a representative from the university or the museum will come by, and you'll find an archaeologist just sucking on a fossil.
Just a bone sticking out of their mouth, you know?
That's right. Just a fossilized bone, like it's the last bone you need for a pterodactyl, and you're like,
that's right. We had every other part already in the museum, and we needed the femur. And
it's
where
like,
is
Dave,
it?
what are you doing? And Dave's just like,
Classic archaeologist, man.
that's archaeologist. Like, keep it out of your mouth, dude.
Please.
So, if you're finding enough hammer scale, I mean, hammer scale is like we're talking iron shavings, right?
Yeah.
Like we're talking
This is just
pieces,
little bits that come off. You don't even notice it because you're hammering so hard.
That's
You're
right.
Sweaty, and you got your smock.
You're covered in grime, but the grime covers you in such a way that it shades your muscles.
Yes. So you look
You know what
so
I mean?
hot.
Yeah,
look
it's
so
like
hot. And you
Yeah,
probably
and-
got like 3 days of stubble, you know, because you've
Yeah,
been
exactly.
working so hard. And all you've been eating is gourds. So you're
Yo, dude.
chiseled, you know.
you're lean, dude. Gourds is lean.
That's right.
If you
So
need
you
to
look
pack on lean muscle, gourds.
You guys tried the gourd smithy diet?
There's someone on TikTok doing it right now, trying
That's
to
right.
sell you a class that's like, this is smithing. This is the way that humans were meant to work, by forging tools. I'll teach you all of the motions of smithing, like swing and swing harder.
That's right. All we eat is gourds, and all we drink is hammer scales out of a
If you don't
Pepsi
have
can.
time to make your own gourds at home, you can order our gourd powder. It's individual packets that you can put in a shaker bottle, so you can have lean gourd energy at any time when you're doing your moves like swing and swing double arm. The number of do you feel like the number of gimmick workouts has exploded by
Well, yeah.
83%?
That's because you don't have to buy time on cable late at night to, you've got a platform. You can just do your shit. That's any old person can have a TikTok. You don't need, before it was like, oh, well, I'm going to have to invest in a studio to shoot this infomercial,
Yeah.
There's a lot
It
of
takes a
upfront
lot of
costs.
money. It takes a lot of money to sell people bullshit.
That's right. It used to, not anymore. Not anymore. Now you just needs a freaking cell phone and some gourd powder, and you're in, baby.
I swear, it's like every workout grifter is just moving through their day thinking about like, what gesture do I do during the day that no one's made a workout out of yet?
That's
What
right.
gesture has no one made an 8-week plan out of yet? It's like, oh, the handshake. The handshake is the natural sign of agreement between one human being and another. We evolved to do the handshake. You'll find that doing the handshake 1 hour a day will make you lean and muscular. You can, and just if you don't have time to drink ballpoint pen, we have ballpoint pen powder.
And all your handshakes will be firmer and you'll command the boardroom.
That's
Everyone
right.
will know your dominance when your handshake is firmer and stronger and your forearm flexes.
The secret that most people don't know is they don't know to engage their core when they're shaking hands. If you engage your core when you're shaking hands, you'll find that shaking hands works 19 of the 37 major muscle groups.
That is true. It's literally just anything you do except engage your core. It's like sit in a chair, but engage your core.
Did you know that human beings evolved to sit in a chair? This is a unique only to human beings, and it's the most natural thing you can do. Get back to nature by sitting in chair and engaging your core. I'll show you how sitting in chair can work 46 of the 98 major muscle groups. And it's like $199 a week, and you have to subscribe to an app, and the app
Use
is
our
just
app.
a website.
That's right. Yeah, for sure.
I hate it, man. I feel like there's so much of that stuff now. I feel like it's just blowing up everywhere. And it's like there was the last year, my favorite one was the dudes who were crawling on all fours.
Oh, is that a thing? I did not see it.
The dudes who were monkey crawling, where you crawl. It's like, when
Just
you do
to
the
get around?
like the elephant walk.
Yeah.
It was elephant walk, and it's like, you got to be barefoot and elephant walk 2 hours a day. We were made to elephant walk. And it's like, bullshit, we were made to elephant walk. Have you seen our spine and hip? Elephant walking is the most natural thing that we were built to do. And if you can elephant walk for 2 hours a day, you'll find that you're much stronger. Yeah, dude, you'll find that if you carry 18 barrels on your shoulders wherever you go every day, you'll be stronger. It's not good for you.
That's why we here at We Have Concerns only advocate for our very unique, very appropriate podcast workout regimen. It's where you podcast, you sit and talk into a mic, but you engage your core.
You got to engage your core. Did you know that human beings are the only species that can podcast? The human beings from the dawn of time have had an urge to podcast. Return to nature, because you always have to return to nature in some way.
Return to nature, how we were meant to be.
That's right. You have to say that we're the only species that was built to do this, and we were meant to do it in nature.
That's
so
right.
we are the only species that can podcast. So if we're the only species that can adjust a mic stand. If you adjust it, we'll show you all of the motions to work 500 of the 537 major muscle groups, like set up mic stand or adjust webcam.
Use ring light. Engage your core.
Engage your core. So yeah. You're finding, so the hammer scale is basically, if you imagine those little toys that you had when you were a kid, where you can make beards on people with iron shavings.
Right. Yes. It's a bunch of that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's tiny, tiny flakes. And so if you're finding enough to fill a Pepsi can in like just a gallon of sand, what that means is
It's
it's a lot of banging. They set up shop. Okay. So then what they did is they were like, look, this magnet test should prove it, but because it's impossible to make these history coaches shut the fuck up.
History coach.
We're going to do some more science on it. Okay. So what they did was they sent animal teeth that were found in the same layer as the hammer scale over to UC Irvine to have them tested and dated. And so what that means is they figured it out. The teeth and the adjacent hammer scale were from the late 1500s when the lost colonists just disappeared into thin air. Right?
So you're saying they were eaten by all those animals?
The animals ate them and turned their door hinges and buckles into tools. The animals watch it, and that's why you should not buy the Smith workout. You need to buy our workout because the Smith workout is wrong. We are not the only species that can be
That's right.
blacksmiths.
That's right. And those wolves, they just freaking gnawed on that tree trunk to throw everybody off. They gnawed the word Croatoan into there just to throw off everybody from their vicious attack.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
It's the perfect crime. It was the perfect wolf crime.
Do you know what's weird though, Jeff? Is locals say to this very day, sometimes wolves have blue eyes. Think about it.
Think about it.
Think about it.
How is that possible?
Hey, think about it. Follow the money. That's what people always say when it comes to the lost colony of Roanoke is follow the money, dude.
Follow the money.
So yeah, by finding out that all of this stuff happened at the same time, it's very clear that these tools were converted to hunting tools and they were using them to hunt. They set up their smith, and this smith was a smith that was used for a couple hundred years. It became the skill that was taught in the skill exchange of the societal integration between the colonists and the Croatoans. That was the thing that the colonists brought to the table, is like, here, this is how you use a metalsmith. And it became less and less important as time went on because they used up all of their metal. Because remember, once again, these were not miners that came over.
They just had so many buckles that it lasted for hundreds of years.
Yeah, that's the story of Hanukkah. They thought there was only one night worth of buckles.
Right,
but the buckles lasted
800 years. It's a lot of candles. So this is one of those rare mysteries of ancient times that has a happy ending. It literally has a real pleasant resolution to all this. Was like, they mysteriously disappeared. What happened? Oh, no. They went to where they could live and thrive and integrate and be happy with other people.
Yes. And there's been evidence of this for decades, but this is the final piece of evidence that we're hoping gets history coaches to shut their fucking mouths. But the reason they won't, and the reason the mystery of the lost colony will continue to be a thing, right? Like the History Channel runs specials on it. The Science Channel ran specials. You know what I mean? Like Stephen King wrote books about it. It was an American Horror Story. Like all of this stuff. It's just, mystery is cool.
Right. It's juicy. It's a juicy concept. And so we would prefer it not to have a happy, kind of boring ending. We would prefer it to be more thrilling and interesting.
And what's really funny about this is, so this was a team of archaeologists and then a local historian who works on the island. He basically, like, Scott Dawson is this guy that owns like a museum. He has the Lost Colony Museum on Hatteras Island. And he's like, come check it out. It's dope as hell. And he usually assists.
Certain nights when there's a full moon,
yeah,
some people say they hear him howl and they wonder if this is all part of the grand cover-up.
That's right. The blue-eyed wolf Native Americans who we know roam the forests of Hatteras Island. But he talks about like, hey, we've accumulated this information. We've accumulated this all of this stuff over the years, and it's been known, and we've been telling people about this, and it doesn't really spread. They say that even, on Hatteras Island, the kids in schools know it, right? But when you get to Virginia, like sometimes a lot of the schools in Virginia still teach the Lost Colony. A lot of schools in Raleigh in North Carolina, right by Hatteras Island, still teach the Lost Colony because it sticks in people's heads.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where the good story sticks in people's heads more than the evidence. And if there's any question at all, even a small question to the evidence, it makes people want to believe the mystery.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
hopefully they're hoping that this latest dig, this was done in May of this year. They're hoping like, hey, this is the biggest news ever in terms of this, right? This is not just radiocarbon dating and an electrolysis and X-ray fluorescence and all of this. Like, we've been getting more and more and more and more and more of this information. And now we've accumulated so much and we have this final piece of information. Can we say it's a fun story and then teach the real thing that happened? You can still say the fun story. There's nothing in class
for a
that's
long time, and now we know the truth. Yes.
Yeah, you can still, if you're a history coach and you're bored and you're not allowed to fucking chew tobacco in class anymore. You can my coaches, by the way, in high school were still chewing and spitting tobacco into cups.
That's delightful.
Isn't that wild? Once
Yeah.
the last school bell rang and it was just practice and it was no longer I don't know, real school.
Yeah.
The coaches immediately were just chewing and spitting dip.
Man, what a time. What a
Yeah, and if
time.
you were 18 and if you were a senior and you were 18, you could ask the coach for some tobacco or the coach would ask you for some.
That makes you run faster.
It makes you run faster, baby. It gives you that,
Yeah.
and it's better than smoking for you. It's better.
Well, yeah.
It's another story that we tell.
Yeah. Well,
So
I guess lost colony is more evocative than relocated colony.
Yeah. But that's the thing is you can still, if you're one of these history coaches, you can tell the story and be like, this is what we believe to happen for such a long time. And for the longest time, nobody knew. And now we know.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm old now, but I think if you had told me that they joined up with this tribe and they turned all their door hinges into arrowheads and drills to hunt, I'd be like, that's metal as fuck. That's still a good story.
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe I would be bored. I don't know.
Maybe we just turned the one thing that makes kids pipe up in history class into another snooze fest.
Yeah, maybe we've destroyed history for everyone. And what's funny is I do want to know, because we do have a significant number of listeners who are not based in the United States. If you're a concerned citizen who's not based in the United States, I would love to know if you even hear about this in other countries.
I would be shocked if they did, honestly.
Yeah, I would think maybe England a little bit, maybe Canada.
I don't think it's one of the big ones. I don't think it's one of the big, I think people probably hear about the Donner Party. Or maybe I'm biased because I was in California, so I heard about the Donner Party more than the Roanoke colony.
See, I was East Coast and we heard Roanoke a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd love to know. And, you can also tell us some fun, incorrect history from wherever you're from. A great place to do it is to head over to our Discord. And
our Discord is the home of incorrect history.
Buddy, all we do on the Discord is spread lies and misinformation. We're an award-winning science podcast.
No, it's awesome. It's an awesome place where awesome people hang out. And if you want access to that, all you got to do is support the show for as little as $1 a month. It's just a pittance that we ask just to make sure that all the cool kids are cool at the Discord. But if you got a little more that you can share with us, make sure this show keeps going. Boy, you get some cool stuff, extra bonus content, extra episodes, interviews, cool stuff, all available at patreon.com/wehaveconcern.